All right, so this is, I think, session 68, maybe? If I can, just want to shout out, yes, Steph, yes, I know what I'm doing. Just want to shout out, if you have not yet been back on the Deck of Many Players YouTube to rewatch, it looks like we have some new cover art in our thumbnails.
Yeah,
And it's super cute. Really love it. Thank you, Eric.
Oh, it's fine. Oh.
Are we right?
It's just it's some AI art that I like I grabbed while we were just to keep it fresh.
It's really quite cute and I love it. No. Oh, I was gonna.
It was there and then.
My shoulders are fine.
Oh. I can send it to you guys if you're interested. It's all good.
It's super cute.
Girl.
Why is it not showing up? Oh, there it was. Ah, it's so cute.
Yeah, it's pretty darn cute.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
Oh, these are actually perfect. Can I use these the next time I throw up a? Oh, that's me.
Yeah, go for
it. The next time I throw up a map, this is adorable.
Yeah, go for it.
I love that.
Apoc is way edgier than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
He's so fluffy.
He's very fluffy.
I love that Basil's character takes up like only half of the circle because he's so small.
Let's go.
Yeah, these are amazing. So cute.
Oh, girl. Not coming up there.
She can get put back if she's being.
Mrs. Q has a quill ring.
I know, I was just looking at that.
Wow.
A quill ring. I didn't notice that. That's so cute.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, I can get something different. I just grabbed a couple.
This is so cute.
I like the coffee mug with Aurora. I didn't notice that in the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Also, the like off the shoulder dress is so revealing.
Of course.
Sweetheart cut. It's like a earring, but for her quills.
Oh, there we go. I see it now.
I think the AI missed where the ear was.
Yeah. But I like it though.
Absolutely.
Apoc's got a couple earrings too, although I'm not 100% sure how those earrings are staying in the ear, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we've all appreciated some lovely AI drawn art, character art, that I will use next time we have a map. Who remember what happens last time on episode 67?
It's so long ago.
I know, right? These 2 weeks feel like ages have passed.
We kept going down the holes. We went through an ashy tunnel where we found the slide, right? And then a couple of us wanted to go down the slide and the other ones were fearing for our life. And in the end, we all had a really fun slide ride together. So we learned from that.
Yes.
We all bonded.
Yeah. And then I think Aurora did some like God questioning stuff. And we got a whole bunch of answers of like, where are we? Is this the hot spot?
Yeah.
What's down the pit? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Are we in danger?
Oh, we after we slid down, we were in like this open cavern with like a big lava pit. We got over to the second landing, so to speak, and then it's just a solid drop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We also learned the term for someone who studies butterflies, which is
Read for it.
Lepidoptery. Lepidoptery.
I prefer Schmetterlist.
That's very important.
I also note that Apoc and Aurora want to burn a butterfly.
Oh, I was supposed to prepare for that. I did not. That's okay.
But we're still doing it.
So we will pick up the in the room of lava, you had all made it to the other side from where you started. And to remind you, this room was like not quite shallow ceiling. It looks to have been made more out of basalt, so kind of long, like hexagonal, octagonal columns, both like jarred on the side, this like lake of lava. And you had noticed that there was almost like holes in the stone that poking your head in just a little bit, they look to kind of go on and get darker as they went, holes about the size like of your body, a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. But thanks to the fleas, I think initially, good use of a blink dagger, you were all able, and finally a polymorph, you were all able to make it to the other side and was able to set up a tiny hut, a dome. After being in the heat of this place, getting very uncomfortable under your armor, under your dresses, under your equipment, as you started to just kind of become a little more comfortable in the like cooler, air-conditioned hut. A little bit of a reprieve from the heat as you all ate and then settled in for the night, discussing about burning the butterfly. I think we had ended with everyone sleeping, but if you want to burn the butterfly now, you're more than welcome to.
Now, the problem was we couldn't leave the hut.
Yes.
Mhm.
Aurora could not leave the hut.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll stay here.
Can you see?
No.
I think that defeats the purpose, right?
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Let's do it in the morning.
Okay.
Okay.
I just leave the butterfly next to Aurora's pillow.
It's slightly cool, like it gives off like a slightly cool-ish little aura, but you have to be like right up next to it. So if Apoc leaves it next to your pillow and you turn and you're nose to nose with it, that's when you start to feel it. Was there anything else that anyone wanted to do before attempting a long rest beside a pool of lava underground in this twisted cave system as you try to find the aspect within this cave?
Do we want to set up watch? Or are we just gonna all talk out?
I hate how Andrea says attempt a long rest, so I
Yeah,
think we
yeah.
should set up some kind of watch.
Agreed. Mrs. Q doesn't mind taking the first watch.
All right. As you go ahead.
I can do second.
And who's on third?
Sure, I'll take third.
Okay. As you all settle in, Mrs. Q kind of like putting your back up against the dome, putting your back up against the dome and taking watch. Everyone kind of finding a restful night. I'd like you to go ahead and make a perception check for me.
That is 14.
14. So as you are settling in and you start to hear the like heavier breathing, snore here and there, seeing your companions just start to roll over, Astra still with you at this time. The first thing you notice as you are in this space is that it smells a little weird. As you smell a little bit more, try to kind of pinpoint the nose and pinpoint the smell. And as you are trying to figure it out, it kind of dawns on you, oh, this is what we smell like. After being in the heat for so long and finally removing some of our equipment, you notice that everyone has a little bit of a stench of body odor. As everyone is settled into this cooler space, taking a rest. But you can feel, at least in your own body, the toll that the heat has taken. I believe you have a point of exhaustion from being in just the heat for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And although it is cool on the inside or comfortable on the inside of this dome, the floor beneath you is still quite warm. as you are next to the lava pit itself.
I'd like the prestidigitation to put like a nice lavender smell in the dome.
Are you asleep?
Oh yeah, that's true. You just get the
You
sweet
notice
puff.
Aurora smells the worst.
I'm sleep prestidigitation. Prestidigitizing.
Mrs. Q, during her watch, realizing that everyone's whiffy and doesn't actually recall when everyone last washed, gets out one of her cooking pots, and uses some of the water that she has available for like drinking and washing up dishes and such that she's carrying around, and leaves it outside where it's hot and puts some like rose petals and stuff in it, and some of the herbs that she has, and will insist that everyone has a little sponge bath in the morning.
That's actually really cute. So you're just putting a cooking pot outside the dome so it gets nice and warm.
Mhm.
Love that. That's adorable.
Like stovetop potpourri.
Ah.
All right. As you prepare this, humming a little bit through the second hour of your watch, you kind of get mesmerized by a second. Can you guys still hear us okay?
Yeah.
You get mesmerized by the lava for a second as you are preparing this outside of the dome. As you watch it kind of like slow roil, kind of heave and wave, just kind of move. Almost like a living thing. It looks like it's breathing, this lake of lava. You're kind of mesmerized by it for a moment or two before you kind of shake yourself out and go back into your into the dome. But your watch goes by. Your watch goes by without any issue. As you go and wake Aurora, was the second watch? As you go and wake Aurora to trade off. Aurora, as you kind of like stretch, put on your nightgown once more, your robe to get nice and comfortable, and switch out with Mrs. Q and watch her fall asleep. Go ahead and make a perception check.
8.
8. You as you settle into your watch and see Mrs. Q settle into her.
Okay.
Sorry, settle into her sleep. The first thing you notice is also this smell, and you being you take a whiff of yourself and realize how it is on your end, and that you've never quite smelled this way before. You get a little bit preoccupied with just trying to get some fresh air through the dome. Is there anything you'd like to do?
No, I'm just. I think just cleaning myself at this point. I think if everybody's. There you go. Yeah. You okay?
Bumps.
All right.
Holy smokes, that is a big distance.
It's a good-
You bad little girl.
It's a good 1.5 feet.
Sorry.
Freaking LeBron over
There you
here.
go.
You have a
Leave
death.
that in. I want to watch that back.
I think I'm good. I'm just cleaning myself up at that point.
Sorry, Eric.
That's okay.
All right, as you get a little distracted cleaning yourself up and just washing your face and trying to make yourself smell a little nicer so that when you put your dress back on, it's a little bit refreshed at this point. Apoc.
hmm
No.
Okay.
Sorry. You fall asleep. And the minute you close your eyes, it feels like you open them again. And the world around you is on fire as you are moving. Your chest feels nothing but anger as you walk this slow, lumbering walk. Your limbs feel heavy as you can hear the rasping sound of your voice as you breathe in heat in this place. And a thought overcomes you of how much you hate being here. You see a tower in the distance, this tall black tower. And the closer you get, you start to see levels of city leading down into it as you walk across what you now realize are cracked desert plains.
Do I recognize this place?
Yes, you recognize this place as the Hells because you hate the Hells. You hate being here, and the anger in your chest is bubbling over. As you kind of take one more step and you kind of reach forward with your hand to just sort of reach towards the black disc, wanting to kind of shorten the distance. You see your arm, a long, carved black arm with green veins, reach out towards it. You hate the Hells. But business needs to be taken care of here. This first, everything else second. As Aurora, you see Apoc jolt up from his sleep. And it's enough to kind of jar you from your preening. Oh, you scared her.
Are you okay?
Where are we?
You're in the dome.
He just looks at his arms, like, do they look normal?
They look normal.
You're there. You're okay.
Thank you. I think it was just a bad dream.
Just
It felt weird. I don't know, like I was walking a different path.
it's okay. It's just a dream.
Is it just a dream? Did it feel real? Did it feel like a dream?
You can make an insight check.
I'm just gonna use the roll that I threw before because I haven't seen it. Insight 17.
You've had freaky dreams in the past. This was different.
I think it was real. I was walking in hell, and I was pretty fucked up.
Was I in it?
I don't think so.
Then it couldn't be real.
You're gonna come to hell with me.
No, I was gonna say it couldn't be a real dream.
Oh, well, I mean, for any consolation, it kind of felt like a nightmare.
That sounds
You know,
more
hell.
accurate. Hey, you know what? The Hells can't reach you out here. But if you look outside the dome, we're somewhere that's not too far off. And we came here on purpose. So if anything scary in there, I know you could probably take it head on, no problem.
I'm gonna try, but like, what if we're walking there right now? What if the plane of fire is hell?
Well, it's a plane of fire. It sounds like hell to me.
Okay.
I will say, with that insight check, you do get the sense that this was the Hells. The Hells that you read about at the Avium when you were researching fiendish creatures. It wasn't necessarily the plane of fire.
Okay. Do we know, does the plane of fire lead into hell? How do we get to hell?
I don't know much about that kind of stuff. Maybe Elle might
If I
know.
don't, yeah. If I said I wanted to go there, would you guys come?
That's a conversation I like to have as a group.
But what do you think? I want to know your opinion.
Going to hell doesn't seem all that exciting. But I don't know, for you, Apoc, I could tag along.
If Cam's there.
I don't know. I can try and find him. I think I'm getting better at this seeing, talking, reaching out beyond myself.
Yeah.
Try and find him.
We might have to.
Okay.
Is there anything like how's the watch?
It's good. Great. Like I've got my eyes peeled on the area around us. We're on a little lake.
What's that smell?
That's you.
No, I'm at the lavender.
That's you.
The lavender's me too.
I had a cast liberally.
Apoc smells as well.
You smell like lavender.
Oh.
It's very pretty.
Yeah.
That's a nice touch. You gonna hit the hay?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go lay down and I walk over, nestle in, tuck in.
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of look like a good night kiss or something.
Alright. Oh. Keep an eye out for you.
I'm already sleeping. Just like
Just a concept. I will take a perception check for your watch.
Cool.
Ah,
Perception. 13.
13. Your watch is much more pleasant as you have the scent of lavender filling the dome. You kind of nestle in.
Wait. I have exhaustion. Yeah, still 13.
You nestle in back against the dome and just kind of watch. You see the pool of lava, that just slow ripple on your left, and as you kind of look to the other side, you see. Sorry. You see the chasm that you and Basil noticed before, and it could not be more different from the brightness of the lava to the darkness of the chasm. You kind of get lost in it for a second, just really trying to make out sort of any kind of movement, any kind of light reflecting up the chasm itself beside you. And as you really, really look and focus in, you notice nothing. And that's one of the more interesting things on your watch. You notice nothing. Nothing moving, nothing coming in, nothing leaving. But your watch passes. Your watch passes. You can all take a long rest as you all wake up just in time for the dome to vanish after 8 hours. And as the dome vanishes from around you, the heat hits you all at once again. And it's almost like an instant sticky sweat that starts to form on your bodies and cling to you as you start to kind of dress, reattach your armor, as every breath you take is kind of like burning down your throat in this heat.
Mrs. Q insists that as people do that she hands everybody a washcloth, which is made of some scrap material, and dips it in the now like has been soaking with like rosemary and rose petals, and asks everyone to give themselves a scrub in the necessary areas that are particularly stinky.
It's and Slits.
Gone. For those of you who choose to do so, it's like drinking tea on a hot day in the middle of summer.
I do that every day in the middle of summer.
Outdoors. It's
Yeah.
it's hot on hot. And although you are trying to wash at Mrs. Q's insistence and like wash your fur, it's like now you are just damp and hot with no way to kind of dry yourself. So as you kind of shake, for those of you who try to shake off the water and bring yourself out, you definitely smell a little bit better. Even you notice that you have a scent clinging to your fur or your quills and your feathers. But it is now that clamminess, that sweatiness as you're putting your equipment back on.
I imagine once everybody's washed, Elle's just gonna like step into the little pot and do like the little bird bath. She's not gonna use a rag. She just got a bird bath it.
Are you sure you wouldn't like one of us to just like spray you with the spray bottle?
No, I'm a bird. I have to bird bath.
For context, we tried showing Bobbi how to bathe that way, as she put her face in a corner and just refused to look at us. We'll share the video at the break. One of my favorites. But I love the image of the bird bath.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are able to get yourself cleaned up, or at least smelling semi-decent as much as possible. And as you get your equipment back on, Aster getting her equipment back on as well, you take in your surrounding once more. The lava lake behind you, where you came, those holes in the walls still very much there on this side too. The ceiling above you, the walls itself, and some in the floor. And as you are all kind of just consciously aware of the chasm, the sheer cliff hole on the other side, the opposing side of the bank of this lava lake, making sure to not get anything too close as to drop it down the hole, but aware of its presence. Some of you looking over the edge into just the darkness of the void. What would you like to do as you get yourself together and prepare for your day?
Apoc, that's some good advice. Cleaning up. Where'd you hear that term?
Oh, pits and slits.
Oh, pits and slits?
Yeah.
An old friend back in back home used to say that.
I think I'm gonna keep that.
Yeah. Her name was Solely?
Okay. So are we going down into this lava lake? Was it? Kren said our quarry is down there.
Hey, can we throw this in first? You know, destruction is usually like one of the best feelings.
You're holding the butterfly?
Yeah. Right. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Where are you throwing it?
Into the lava.
Into the lava, okay. Okay. As this butterfly,
Nice butterfly.
this ice butterfly, you throw it and you chuck it into the lava.
Mhm.
It hits. It hits the lava, and you kind of one wig in, one wig out, and you hear that as it hits, and this like slow moving, like breathing lava lake starts to kind of lap at it, and it starts to sink. You notice that the ice, the shell that was made from that potion of frost, starts to kind of dissolve away very, very quickly, all the way up and over the body of this butterfly to reveal this like kind of semi-translucent, like purple, gossamer, cloud-like butterfly underneath that just starts to kind of flick and move through the lava itself.
Oh shit, it's still alive.
And flutter. It looks different from before. It's not made of flame. It's almost made of like rain cloud.
Oh.
It's a little bit transparent. It's got like some purples and some blues in it as it just starts to flutter and like pull itself out.
How far is it?
Apoc.
I don't know. Were you next to me when I threw it in?
Yeah.
At like 5 feet?
Die. Cast the spell.
What do you cast?
Let's do chill touch.
Chill touch.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's a 13.
Okay, hold on. Hold on 1 second. I gotta pull up my tab real quick. I lost my tab.
The 13 to hit.
Where are you? There you are. Yes, that hits.
And 12 necrotic damage.
Yeah, as it takes it, you see Apoc, this butterfly, the like body of it just go black as it sprouts black into its wings. That like light purple and light blue, this almost like fairy fairy see-through kind of like consistency of this butterfly just starts to shudder as you hear just kind of like it as it continues to flap, but in much, much more pain. As it starts to kind of like flutter almost towards you, Apoc. This butterfly just kind of like trying to make it towards you to get towards you. How far was the range on that spell?
120.
120? Okay. So it's like 10 feet away. Apoc just chucked it into the lava. You can't throw that far. This heavy thing. As it's trying to flutter towards you, what do?
I just watch it. I don't know. Does it seem like it's gonna hurt us?
It seems to be in a lot of pain right now.
I don't know. I'm just watching the world burn.
As you watch it, it like flutters towards you and tries to get on the opposite side from where Aurora is to you.
Oh.
And just tries to kind of like land somewhere and almost kind of shudder as it lands on you, folds its wings and just tries to like.
Does it look like safe? Like it doesn't look hostile.
You can make an insight check.
Okay. 10.
You don't get the sense that it's hostile. It kind of like tries to land on you. If you let it, it will land on you on the opposite side from where Aurora is standing and fold its wings in and just hold on and just kind of shudder.
Wait, it doesn't look evil. It doesn't look like it's gonna kill us. They're trying to kill us. I just go over to it and like stick out my finger.
Like toothless?
Yeah, like toothless. Like, is it gonna like come into the palm?
You stick out your finger and it tries to kind of come under your arm and land and try and hide almost from Aurora.
How big is this thing?
Oh, yeah, big.
Okay, it's still full size.
It's just as big as it was as a fire butterfly, but it's a little different now.
Are you gonna hurt us?
You can just kind of
Say that to it? Yeah.
you say that to it and you just sort of hear this like,
Hey, can anybody talk to butterflies?
Indeedy.
Do you want to come translate? I think it's not gonna hurt us. It seems scared.
Mrs. Q comes over. And faces off with this thing. And then slowly starts.
What are you trying to communicate to it?
what are you trying to say?
I'm trying to ask if it's a friend or a foe. And what it's doing here. What are you doing?
You get back just it hurts. It hurts. Safe place. He's safe. It hurts. Just friend. He's friend. It's kind of the jumble you get back.
Apparently it's injured. and you seem like a safe place. That's great.
Does it want to come with us?
You get the sense, you get the gist of it saying, of course, he's safe. I help. He's safe. I hurt. He's safe.
They're coming with us.
We have butterfly? Yeah.
Yeah, Peanut?
Do we have butterfly food? Can we like heal this thing? Do I have any?
They would eat nectar,
Like pollen.
probably nectar more than pollen.
You have any sugar?
I do definitely have sugar. I'm constantly making cookies. I have like 6 kilos of sugar on me at any given moment.
6 kilos?
I don't know. A lot of sugar. One of those magical things that I never seem to run out. I've never bought sugar this whole campaign, yet here we are.
Encumbrance?
Yeah.
Mrs. Q puts a little bit of sugar in, she gets like a little ladle and puts a little bit of water in it and adds a little bit of sugar and gives it to see if they'll drink it.
You see like a little proboscis kind of like unravel and start to lap up the sugar before it comes back. And it like slowly unravels again and laps up the sugar before it just retreats. And as it does, you kind of see that black of the necrotic energy from Aurora's spell just start to kind of dissipate a little bit from things. Not a lot, but a little.
While this is happening, can Elle clock how Aurora is feeling about this? Having her admit last time that she's terrified of butterflies.
Straight up, I am not having any of this. I'll let you guys kind of do this part.
Can't remember if Apoc knows whether or not she's terrified, and I don't think he does.
Yeah. Also, the spell I used prevents healing.
It's
For a while. It's probably faded.
not you. You would know your spell prevents healing. It's not necessarily healing. It's just flavor text.
Sweet, sweet flavor text.
Mhm.
Sweet, sweet flavor text.
Right? Well, I'm just gonna like hold out my arm, see if it comes on my shoulder or like wants to perch up. I'm gonna call you Fieri.
Why?
Why not? Sweet, sweet Flavor Town.
Elle's gonna come up and be like, do you think it's a girl or a guy?
That might be a guy. Do you think we should call it Guy Fieri?
Stupid, all of you.
I like girl Fieri personally, but
Gal Fieri.
Mrs. Q wants to settle this, and once again,
What are you asking?
Which translates to
are you a boy or a girl? Butterfly.
you get the gist back. Unsure. Just alive now. I think I just am.
Works for me. It seems we can call them whatever we want. They're just happy to be alive.
This butterfly, for reference, as it perches up on you, is from like here to here on Apoc. It's a big butterfly, but it weighs like nothing on your
Nice.
shoulder.
Very cool.
So, Fieri.
Fieri.
Right, so you it's a familiar.
Nice.
Aww.
When you used no, don't bite Sean's sweater, you silly girl. Is it bedtime? Oh, you could have seen that coming.
Yeah, they usually would hurt.
That's okay.
All right.
As it's almost 8:30.
Yeah.
As Fury settles in on your shoulder and Aurora is on the opposite side of all of this happening as she's watching from afar. We might have to pause. It is Bobbi's bedtime, so we're gonna go put her to bed. So we'll take a little break back in like 5 minutes.
Cool.
Short keep an eye on time so that we can end, so everybody can go to sleep at a decent time. So we'll jump in right away. So with your new friend Fury, kind of clinging to your back, that like black necrotic still kind of clinging to its body for right now. The wings are very like wispy, like they're like clouds. They kind of wisp into nothingness almost. He's just kind of clinging there, not weighing anything to you. And you are all kind of like take a moment to meet Fury. What would you like to do? What's your next step? As you are in this lava lakeside cavern.
Did we determine like the direction that we were going to go next before we went to bed?
You
Like down towards the lake, right?
Yeah, isn't there only one way to go?
there is the lava lake that you crossed.
Uh-huh.
So there's the bank you came from with the slide, the bank that you from the bank that you slept on, you do see like holes in the walls still in the ceiling above and kind of on the ground. And then you do also have like a sheer drop. So you have the wall of the cavern on the outside, the wall of this like dome, for example. And there is a hole that kind of spans the entire length of this bank that you are currently on. And it is a sheer drop on either side.
Okay.
I don't think you determined where you were going to go before you went to bed, but that is what you are currently looking at in this cavern.
Only one way to go.
Okay.
Does anyone have light that we can use going down?
Good question. I think so.
It looks pretty dark. down.
Didn't you make that spoon glow?
It was a spatula.
You're right. Mhm.
All right, sorry.
Mrs. Q, to prove it, once again pulls out the spatula and it starts to glow pink. But like a light pink, so that it's actually used.
Okay. Yeah, like a red light, but like pink.
Right. Yeah, but bright enough to like we can actually see where we're going.
Mm.
Not like a lava lamp pink. Not like
Gotcha.
you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Still make the light spell effective.
Hey, Mrs. Q, do you have any more eggs that I could borrow?
Any more eggs? Have you already used my eggs?
Yes, I've used a little bit.
Uh,
I'd like to.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That doesn't help my memory. She reaches into her petticoat pocket and emerges with an egg.
And I whip up some meringue and give everybody a kiss. But I
And-
blow the kiss towards Apoc because I'm not going near him.
What do you use to whip it up? Like, is this your tail? Is it your... Is it a whisk?
It's a whisk, yeah.
Okay.
Is it your
I'm just thematic. I didn't know.
Boys, they have no idea what to do in the kitchen. Useless.
Okay. And that's the telepathic link to
Yeah.
everyone, right?
Yep.
Is Astra included in that?
Yes.
Can't remember if she can be or not. Okay. Okay, so as you all kind of link up telepathically, getting a few floods of other people's thoughts in your mind for a second as the spell takes hold, before everything quiets down once more, you have a slightly glowing pink spatula in your hand. What's the plan?
Elle, do you still have the aspect? Okay.
I got it.
I guess move out.
Where are we going?
Are we going down? which means we're jumping
Literally the only way down.
into an endless black pit.
Is that what the sand was though? Kind of like an endless black pit.
What did you just say?
There was, wouldn't we get the sand slide kind of looked like an endless black pit, and it wasn't that endless.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
We could test this, right? We could
Mhm.
do, we could figure this out, how deep this thing is that we need to jump down.
Did you throw like a spoon or something?
Did we already do that?
Hang on, what?
Astra, can you turn into a bird again?
Today, yes, yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
All right. If you want to do that,
It's like everyone though.
well, maybe you could.
If you all stay the size you are, I don't think I can lift
I
one,
was
2, or 5 of
I
you.
wasn't planning to change size, except for maybe you. So when you turn into a bird, I'm going to cast enlarge on you, and we should all be able to fit.
We can certainly try, I suppose.
This is the plan.
Unless you guys want to jump, I'd rather go together.
Agreed. All right.
Okay, so okay. All right, so with the plan, Astra goes ahead and transforms into her giant owl form. You
Enlarge.
cast enlarge and enlarges one size larger. Is that what it is?
Yeah, technically one size larger, but doubles in all dimensions.
But doubles in all dimensions. Okay.
Yeah.
So if 3 of us could go on there, I think the 5 of us could fit.
So that would mean that she has a 20-foot wingspan.
Nice. Let's go.
Uh, What is the size above large?
Extra large?
Yeah,
Gigantic.
Gigantic?
huge.
Huge, thank
yeah.
you. So as you cast enlarge on this giant owl that was already kind of like close to the top of this cavern, Astra has to kind of like hunch with her height and her wingspan now as she kind of like awkwardly waddles over towards the pit itself. Go ahead and pause it.
All right.
As she opens up her wings and kind of crouches down to let all of you kind of on. Are you all on her back? Is one in her talon?
I'll ride Talon for sure. Talon, so she's like grabbed around my waist, so I'm still good to like bow down.
It's like hanging down.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 4 of you on her back, it's a little awkward, but you're like grabbing her feathers to hang on to this massive form as she quickly grabs onto Apoc and jumps into this like sheer black pit. And it is like smooth on both sides. You cannot see where the pit ends on either side. And as she jumps and starts to like hover, kind of like closing in her wings to go down a little faster, but kind of trying to just keep at a hover for as long as possible. Your vision, even those of you who have dark vision, quickly go virtually black. Cannot even see your hand in front of your face.
Do we still have the glowing spatula?
You do. Do you want to pause and just yell at her?
Maybe we can see with that.
So you do have the glowing spatula. Mrs. Q, how big of a range does that light spell grant you?
The object sheds bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for an additional 20 feet.
Okay. So you can see with the assistance of Mrs. Q spatula, thank you for that. You can see the tips of Astra's wings in that like 40-foot diameter span. And you can see the light kind of moving down with you, bouncing off the walls of this cavern in front of you and behind you more dimly. So they're outside of that initial like 20-foot radius. But beyond that is just black. And as you travel down, even if you look up above you, those of you who are above Astra, you see the like hole that you jumped down kind of get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller of a string of light. How long does enlarge last?
An hour? I think. Let me check. 1 minute.
1 minute.
Hey.
Different.
Yikes. Yikes.
Okay.
Hurry up!
But Aurora, does Aurora know, or does Aurora actually also think it lasts 1 hour?
Sure.
Or it's like, we're good.
Let's go.
So, in the 1 minute that Astra is enlarged and she is trying to fall as fast as possible, but cannot really see beyond like 40 feet down in front of her. Apoc at the bottom, do you have dark vision?
Yeah.
You can see that like 40-foot dim light range is bouncing off of nothing. It just kind of gets eaten by the darkness below. There is nothing to see, even with your dark vision. As Astra is falling as fast as she dares without being able to see too well, the enlarge starts to wear off after a minute, and you feel Astra start to kind of like flap and keep herself aloft, but you are starting to fall faster as the weight is a lot for a single giant owl.
I can. Basil, you look like you got a plan. What's your plan?
I could cast Featherfall, but
How long does that last?
just a minute.
Okay, no, Jeremy, flying V, quick. As you see the giant fleas, not giant, the fleas start to coalesce into giant figures, two shapes of vultures appearing in tandem, flaking Astra as she's diving down. Okay, somebody hop onto the other one. I'm gonna jump. Apoc jumps onto one of the vulture shapes of fleas as Apoc casts Conjure Animals.
Amazing.
Oh, nice.
There's another one. Somebody get on it.
Elle can jump across. She's gonna glide or flap her wings or just do something bird-like to get over to the other one.
Something bird-like.
So yeah,
Love
there's
it.
two giant vultures for an hour.
2 giant vultures for an hour. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And let's go.
Okay, can you command them?
You summon face spirits, take the form of beasts, and appear in unoccupied space. They're considered fey, friendly to you, roll initiative. They obey verbal commands. Yeah.
Can you pause it for a second?
That's clutch. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have tricks up our please.
Ah.
What I am gonna ask, Elle, I know you want to do something bird-like to jump, but
Yep.
Astra and these flea vultures are falling. You're gonna go check on it? Astra and these flea vultures are falling. I just want you to make an acrobatics check to try and run, jump, and land on these vultures. It's easier because Apoc can command them where to go.
Yeah, 18.
With ease, you're able to run super cool off of the wing of Astra as she's trying to hold her position, falling quickly and jump onto the fleas as she kind of regains a slower descent. As the 2 vulture creatures, one holding you, one holding Apoc, are able to support the weight of 2 other creatures. As you are all kind of descending at the same rate as before, the light from Mrs. Q bouncing off of the walls itself, I would like all of you actually to go ahead and make a perception check at disadvantage for me.
That's terrible.
Okay. Sorry, I guess those of you who have dark vision, no disadvantage with this case.
Oh, nice.
Even
Okay.
even with my spatula?
Even with your spatula.
Bummer.
That would be- bro.
I have dark vision. Still a 5.
Still a 5.
I rolled a 2, so that's a 7 with dark vision.
Is that a 1 and a 2?
I guess.
Oh,
No, I have
Oh,
dark vision, so
gotcha.
it's straight. Yeah. Straight roll.
Elle, you got a 6. Mrs. Q
11.
and Basil?
19.
19. Okay.
Nice.
Basil being the, and Mrs. Q actually, being the only ones to notice this after about 5 minutes of descending in this pit. You start to notice that the light that was hitting off of the walls from Mrs. Q's spatula, it was dim light for quite some time, but the longer you've been descending, you notice it almost seems to now be reflecting that brighter light.
Mm.
As in, the walls are getting tighter.
Mrs. Q, do you notice something against the walls? It looks like it's getting almost brighter as we go down.
I think that means that this tunnel is getting narrower.
I concur. No. Deductive reasoning is clear now. Yeah.
Indubitably.
We might be getting close to the end. Looks like the tunnel's getting smaller.
How would we be able to sort of estimate? Like, are Astra's wings getting close to touching the walls?
Astra's wings, no. The Astra and the 2 vultures side by side are kind of descending all like wingtip to wingtip, but you notice that Astra's almost starting to now have to like hunch her neck in just a little bit, as from top of head to bottom of tail, it seems to be getting tighter
Okay.
for her form. As you continue to descend and continue to descend, it starts getting tighter and tighter until Astra has to kind of turn her head to not be completely squished. And as you descend, it's been about like 8 minutes of falling at this rate.
Mm.
As Astra is desperately trying to look below, going with the perception rolls, Basil, Mrs. Q. Let's see Astra's roll. Astra doesn't see it until too late. But Basil and Mrs. Q, what you see is you kind of look over down towards the down underneath you. You start to see that it narrows quite drastically, almost like a funnel. And that there looks to be an end. As Astra's kind of got her head tucked, trying to keep her wings out. They're now almost like really tucked in so that she can just kind of continue to glide down without getting too squished. Your descent has slowed quite a bit. What do you do?
Basil, might be time for that feather fall.
Featherfall of the group. And he yells out, I think I see the bottom.
I jump.
You jump. Okay.
So Basil joins him, or joins her.
Okay. As Aurora and Basil jump off of
Yeah.
Astra, Apoc following off of his vulture.
Yeah.
How many can you catch with Featherfall, Basil?
I think it's 5. I can double check. Up to 5.
Up to 5.
Yep.
Okay. So as you jump, as Aurora jumps, as Apoc jumps, Astra starts to shift form as it is getting too tight for her in her giant owl form to continue. As her and Mrs. Q, Elle, unless you are also jumping off of the vulture, get caught by the feather fall. I guess, Basil, I think you can designate who gets caught.
Did we need
Yeah.
to jump off the like vultures and stuff?
So it was starting to funnel,
Okay.
and Basil did notice, Basil and Mrs. Q kind of noticed what looks to be some sort of bottom,
Okay.
perhaps. At this point, as you feather fall the remaining like 20 feet, you are able to land. Elle, all of you are able to land. Elle, if you are still on the back of the vulture, it's not far for you to land as well.
Yeah, I think because Elle doesn't notice kind of what I had a 6, so she's just staying on. If this thing poofs out of existence, then it poofs out of existence.
It's an actual creature, right? Like
They're fae,
they're fey. Okay.
so I'll let you. I mean, they're just the coalesced fleas into a vulture shape that is
Right.
a fully functioning vulture for all intents and purposes.
Interesting way
That
to
sounds terrifying.
It's so
Well,
gross.
It's conjured, right? Like it is conjured from something, and
Yeah.
the way Apoc performs his form of magic is through use of the fleas, right?
Mhm.
I love it.
Don't look too close at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those like weird eye, magic eye things. There is a point at which the vulture kind of just has to stand up almost straight and flap as it can no longer go any farther in this narrowing tunnel. And it kind of like squawks, or I don't know, I think vultures can squawk, gurgles at you as you see your friends jump off of Astra shifting form in midair and then holding out her wings to kind of her Luma wings to catch herself as the tunnel has gotten very, very tight. But the vulture kind of like looks to you for some sort of direction as you are still on its back. But you see your friends jump. And as you see the light of Mrs. Q kind of slowly fall 20 feet before it stops, you're just on like the edge of its dimness. What would you like to do?
Do we see anything down here?
Those of you who are down there, so Elle would not be able to see this if she is staying up on the vulture. Those of you who are down there and land, your eyes have had a chance to kind of adjust to this darkness, but you kind of look up and all around you and you see nothing outside of the diameter of Mrs. Q's light. As you kind of start to take in your bearings and look at the ground, everyone would be able to see this because you're standing on it. You start to notice that there are areas of this ground that start to slope down even more and get even more narrower. Right now, you're maybe at like 8 to 10 feet in diameter-ish across. But you see that as it starts to slope down, like you kind of turn behind you and you see that there is a gentle slope leading down. It continues to get more and more narrow.
What do you think? Shall we continue?
Yes, that's only one way. Seems it's down.
Can we slide down the first one?
Yeah. Elle, stop it. Stop us if you want to do anything.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Get down here.
Okay.
Can the vultures come with us? I guess they're too big. Or if they just like, wings in, can they come with us?
Did they poof?
No, they're still there for an hour.
Well,
Or
they last an hour, right?
Mhm.
So if a large creature can fit through, then they'll come with us.
So, Elle, as you kind of hop off, find a way to land safely from this vulture, which it is easy enough to do. The vulture kind of like awkwardly lands behind you, but has to almost kind of like suck it in is what I'm trying to do that you can't tell very well in this chair. And stand up pretty straight as its tail feathers are kind of like up one side and it's trying to keep its head up on the other side. It's a little bit tight for this thing, but it does fit at this point. Two of them, I guess, both of them. Basil, were you going to slide down?
Yep.
It is a rather gentle slope. It's a little bit on the rocky side at this point, like a loose kind of gravel as you hit the ground, where the sides were very sheer. This is very, yeah, like a loose gravel.
Sure.
So you can kind of like slide a little bit, catch your footing, slide a little bit. You can go down on your bum if you want. It's not recommended. It'd be very uncomfortable. But as you kind of slide down with Mrs. Q's light guiding you as you go, again, you move for about 5 minutes or so, and you start to notice that you can touch both sides, both walls. As you keep going down, it starts to get smaller and smaller.
Is this tiny Basil that can touch both sides?
Yeah, tiny Basil can touch both sides.
Okay.
As the rest of you are all finding yourselves really starting to move in between these two walls.
It's getting pretty tight down here.
Mrs. Q, despite being a hedgehog, doesn't love confined spaces. Is finding this uncomfortable.
Can you? Because we only have the one spatula, right?
I mean, I have many spatulas, but only one of them glows pink.
Seeing as Sir Basil's the smallest, should he scout ahead?
Mrs. Q hands over the sacred
But
spatula.
then you're sitting. You're all in the dark.
Well, can't we? How? I mean, how far ahead are you?
I don't know. Like,
Well, I don't know. I don't want to be in the dark either.
we either all just keep going as a group as far as we can, but it's getting like thin, like more
Yeah.
narrow and
Here, Mrs. Q, hold on to your spatula. I hand a candle to Basil, and you just see it light up once you take it.
okay. Can Sir Basil then try and scout ahead just to get a sense of like how much more narrow will this get? Like, is the group going to get stuck at some point and we can't go forward?
So as Sir Basil scouts ahead and the rest of you kind of take a breather, please stop me if anybody wants to do anything at any time. Like Elle, for sure. I don't want to forget that anyone's here. As you all take a moment in this, like with the light of Mrs. Q's spatula, as Basil takes the candle. Those of you who stayed, it is hot. You now realize how heavy your chest is. Being confined in this space, you realize how heavy your equipment is, and you start to feel the weight of it on your shoulders. Fieri, your butterfly friend, has kind of shifted perches over time to almost nestle on the side of your face as you've been moving through Apoc. As you are all kind of moving crab walk sideways at this point. Basil, as you are scouting ahead, the sound of your footsteps, the only thing kind of bouncing off these walls. You move forward 10 feet, 20 feet. You get out of the diameter of Mrs. Q's light 40 feet out, and all you have is the candle in front of you, guiding you. And as you start to move slower and slower, it's another about 30 feet, 40 feet or so before you kind of come to like an end. And the only reason why you can see it as you're watching your feet and are closer to the ground is you see this hole in the ground that appears to be where the tunnel ends and continues straight down. Just
big is
wide
it?
enough for a person to move through.
Like a normal sized person or a small?
Like a
Sir
normal
Basil?
sized person.
Okay.
Like an Apoc.
I communicate via what's the term?
Telepathy.
Telepathy. Just a little bit further down, and I've hit the end. There seems to be a straight drop down from here. I'll wait for you. Keep coming down.
What do you mean end if there's another drop?
the slope ends and I'm at a hole. It just drops.
Oh, boy. Okay, we're on our way.
It gets pretty tight, so you might have to squeeze a bit.
This is not good for my petticoat.
Sorry, Mrs. Q.
That's okay. Love Mrs. Q.
Love-
Right.
All right, I mean, Mrs. Q is gonna keep pushing forward with her spatchy spatch.
I'm gonna follow behind.
Elle, are you okay over there?
Myself physically does not do well in confined spaces, so imagining this is freaking me out, but I'm doing okay. Elle is going like probably as slowly as you've like ever seen her kind of go along.
For anybody, just let me know if it's too much. You can just shoot me a message. You don't have to say it out loud.
As long as we do not get stuck, I'm okay so far.
I only have one gaseous form.
I'll cast reduce on Elle, so she has more room to work with.
So a Basil-sized L, I think.
Elle will come up and be like, "Oh, what happened to you?" Just like looking at her.
I imagine my voice is like helium, so it's like super squeaky.
Basil will be like, "Do I sound like that?"
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So as you all move forward carefully to go ahead and join Basil and notice how tight it's gotten as Basil described, and notice the hole. All of you kind of looking down. Actually, Basil would be the only one closest to it, as it is like literally at the end of this path you've been walking down. So none of you can actually see the entrance to the hole except for, I guess, Mrs. Q, who's looking over Basil's tiny shoulder.
From our vantage point, can we see anything down the hole? Or is it just similar to before? It's just black.
Just black.
We can't even if we kind of sort of stick the candle down a little bit. We can't see like walls of the hole or anything.
Girl peanut. Sorry.
If we stick the candle or the spatula in the hole a bit, can we like see the walls of the hole? Or is it just like this small hole that opens up to a vast cavern that just goes down?
Hmm.
Great question. So you put the candle or the spatula in and hang on to it. For as far as you can reach, it just looks like rock walls.
Oh, so we can see the walls.
You can see the walls when you put the spatula in, like with light. When you take that out, it just looks like a hole. It's dark and it's black.
Are we able to like touch the walls of the in the hole? Like if imagine like if I were to like hand and feet against each wall and I shimmy down like that. Like think of it as like in the Matrix when they're in the walls. Trying to
Love
shimmy
it.
up, keep down. Like could we spider crawl down?
It's more like this because it's a tight hole. It's like human body sized hole.
Okay, so for Basil it'd probably be like pull out like this and Elle. Everyone else could be like back against the wall, knees.
Elle, it's
hands
like
up.
throwing a hot dog
No.
down a hallway.
Basil, it's like
Oh, I see.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
you can go down the hole the way you are describing. You know, like it's a possibility. It's not like you can see the walls, you can touch the walls, is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say. But like
But
it's tight. It's
Yeah,
tight.
it'd be very tight for everyone else.
Yep.
What do we think, Mrs. Q? There's only one way
There's
to
only
go.
one way. I mean, if you wanted, we could tie a rope to the spatula and lower it down and see if it gets narrower. My one concern is the possibility of getting stuck. I've eaten a few pork pies in my day.
Too many
I'm
cookies.
rather rotund hedgehog.
A rotund.
Um,
I think we just maybe I think we can only go. We can't possibly go more than one at a time.
correct.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Sir Basil goes first, being the smallest and in the front.
How are you going to be able to hold the light?
Well,
And go down.
it's small enough that like Sir Basil would be able to like back against the wall, hand and legs.
You could do it like the old miners used to do, and like stick it to your hat.
With the wax be like, oh, for sure.
Sure, I'll allow it. Okay.
Go down first, Mrs. Q, and then goes down. Everyone take a little breather. I'll check it out. And he tries to go, I don't know, maybe 20 feet first, get a sense of like, is this getting narrower or is it still the same size? And then kind of go in sections, I guess, to assess.
All right, so as you're gonna go in sections, so go ahead and make a dexterity acrobatics check. Sorry,
That's what the
acrobatics.
Acrobatic.
Go ahead and make an acrobatics check.
Okay. That is acrobatics. So that is a 21.
21. As you start to shimmy down 20 feet with the candle kind of lighting your way, for the first 20 feet, it feels okay. You don't get the sense, it doesn't feel like it's getting any smaller. You feel like it's the same distance. And you see the tunnel kind of start to take just a little bit of a curve. So you're kind of like shimmying down, and then you start to like shimmy to the side to get around like a few curves as you go. And it comes to a point at the end of 20 feet where, actually, sorry, did you go down feet first or did you go down head first? I'm assuming feet.
Feet first, yeah.
It gets to a point where you are like on your back almost. It's horizontal and you kind of have to like shimmy your way forward before you start to kind of go back vertical again. It's like
Sure, okay,
you're crawling down a very crooked chimney.
okay. Sir Basil is relaying this to the group as he's going. So everyone's kind of painting like a mental map of what's happening. But the tunnel is not getting narrower, or is it staying kind of the same size all the way through?
Up until like 40 feet, if you're continuing on like 20 feet, 40 feet, shimmying through it, it seems to be maintaining itself. It's
Okay.
it's maintaining it's the same width, same diameter.
Okay. So Basil communicates this to the group.
I was trying to find the appropriate meme because the word shimmy has been used so much, and the Spice Girls song is just playing on repeat in my head. And so I'm just imagining you like all the way down.
Okay, sure.
It's very unhelpful.
As I'm doing it, like Mrs. Q is just humming the song, like Mrs. Q, stop! I need to concentrate.
Yeah, it's in everybody's heads.
Mhm.
Okay. What's happening next?
I guess well,
I would keep going, but leave it up to you guys if you guys follow.
so far it hasn't gone any narrower. It's just been sort of like
Correct. And I'm past 40 feet at this point or something.
okay. I feel I don't know, I'm a little nervous about sending another person down if like having more than one person in the
Okay, so
tube.
Sir Basil keeps going.
Okay.
That's just me.
That's fine. If the group wants me to scout
This
further.
is- you're the wisest of us all, so we trust you.
She's still humming the Spice Girls song.
Yeah.
So if you're moving on past that 40-foot mark, I need one more acrobatics check, Basil.
So that's a. What's that equal out to this? 27.
You move another 20 feet. Sorry. You move another 20 feet and you kind of find yourself at that point like on your stomach and you are shimmying backwards through the tunnel. As you take a deep breath in, you kind of breathe in this like fine dust and kind of hack and cough for a second as you are continuing to shimmy. And with each breath that you breathe in from swallowing that dust, the heat just starts to like dry out your mouth at this point. As the tunnel itself that you're following goes back vertical, the weight of your equipment and your broad longsword just weighs on you as you slip for a second before catching yourself on the wall, continuing to shimmy down. You move for another 40 feet. Thankfully, very dexterous to get yourself out of there, moving as slowly as you have been before your foot at the bottom just doesn't find purchase on the next set of walls. Kind of dangles for a second before you pull it up. What do you do?
Interesting.
How far down are you?
At this point, I'm like 80 something feet.
Okay.
Keep checking in telepathically. You good? Good?
Sir Basil will say, I'm struggling now to find some footing. Sir Basil was trying to like maybe because since he's feet first, he's trying to look down around and see, is it just like that at this point there's just a sheer drop, or can I discern more? Like,
You've got a candle. Make a perception check for me. You've got a candle. The candle doesn't give off a whole whack of light. It's pretty dark.
a very
Let's just
bad
see what you can see.
14.
As you're looking around, like moving the candle with a 14, you notice that there's a little bit of a flicker. And you kind of look down again and to try and catch that flicker. And as you look down, you see that the candlelight is reflecting off of something below you. So there's something below you.
Would I be able to roughly discern the distance?
It's like 5 feet below you. It's not unlike the flicker of the light off of the walls initially.
Oh, okay, okay. In
Sorry.
that case, Sir Basil would just kind of like and just drop and hope that like it's like firm footing.
As you drop, you land on rock. You just kind of land the 5 feet. It's like just twice your body height, and you kind of land a little heavier than expected with the weight of your equipment. Your palms and your feet a little bit slippery after going through the crooked chimney tunnel. And as you kind of land, you slip just a little bit, but get a good vision of what looks to be like a much wider tunnel. It's still a very low ceiling, but it looks like it opens up ahead. You do see like light. Still this kind of flickering firelight, not unlike how the lava looked when it was flickering up the walls of the slide before you realized it was lava. But you do see kind of light ahead.
Okay,
Probably
cool.
about another 50 feet or so. This area that you're in, again, it's still a low ceiling. For everyone else, it's like 2 feet. It's crawling. So it's still quite low, but it's wider now.
Gotcha. So we'll communicate back to the group. I've reached the bottom. I must be, gosh, more than 80 feet down, but it does end, and you'll be able to find good footing. it looks like it opens up into a wider space, but and I see a light. If you can make it down, I'll wait for you.
Elle, did you want to go together?
Gonna like hold out her hand, but can we fit down two at a time?
I'll be right there with you.
Okay. I forgot my voice changed.
So cute.
All right,
No, it was worth it just for that. That's good.
let's get going.
Okay. So a acrobatics check for both of you, please.
12.
13?
Just made it. As are you going down feet first or face first? Head first, I mean.
Eat.
Definitely feet first.
All right, so if I understood correctly, Elle going down first, Aurora going down second.
I think I'd go just ahead so that
Okay.
she's not going into the darkness on her own.
Okay, misunderstood that. And do you have a light?
I have more candles, so give her a candle. I take a candle. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So as you both start to move your way down, following the same path as Basil, you get to the point where you are both flat on your back, shimmying down at the 40-foot mark. As you are breathing heavy, it is a much tighter space. You see it in the candlelight, the roof of this just like a few inches away from your beak and your snout. As you can almost feel with deep breaths that you take, your chest kind of skimming the roof of this. As you continue to shimmy your way down for the next 40 feet. One more acrobatics check, please. And if you want to do anything,
Pep
do it.
talk. It's like, you guys are doing so well. Keep going. just a little bit further.
Elle, are you doing this while holding the aspect? You're doing this.
And I'm also smaller.
This is like a one-winged thing.
I
No.
guess so, yeah.
So Basil had like his sword and stuff.
Yeah, but don't you have like a thing on your back for that?
Mm.
All right, acrobatics checks, Aurora.
That's a natural one.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, I got a 21 if that helps.
As Aurora, you in front of Elle, go to move to the point where you are like on your tummies, moving backwards. Your dress catches on something, and as you move back, you feel like the tug at your belt, at your dress, and you go to try and unloop it before Elle gets there. And you feel your like sleeve get caught on the same thing, and as you try and tug as you get stuck, Elle continues to back up into you. And as she pushes into you, you not only feel the dress start to rip, but as you try and move your arm back, you are going to take 3 points of slashing damage as you are moving your arm back through rock that kind of cuts up the side of your
Oh
arm.
no, it's fate worse than death.
You do get a little tangled, and you do get a little stuck as you are trying to untangle yourself and your dress as you have pulled your arm back and kind of get your shoulder stuck on your tummies moving backwards.
Now just give me a second. My why did I have to wear the lace trim? Like it catches on everything. This is I'm gonna own this one. This is probably on mine, but and I like as I'm like trying to just to keep Elle calm, I'm saying like I'm not panicking externally, despite the absolute sheer terror that comes with claustrophobia.
Okay. If as you are trying to like move and untangle yourself, I do want an athletics check to see if you can like force your way out of this.
Oh, that's not bad. 8.
8. As you try and force your way through and kind of like shove your arm back down so you're able to like move, taking one for the team and just ripping the dress. You are going to take a bit more damage.
Oh.
Another 4 points of piercing damage as you kind of roll over and scrape your other arm as you are trying to shimmy as best as possible without freaking Elle out. But it is a good like 30 seconds. Both of you are on your tummies. Elle, you are facing the way you came. With each of you with a candle as you just hear Aurora trying to pep talk you and shuffling in the back. Before Aurora kind of clears herself out of this and can start moving once more. As after that ordeal, Basil, you start to hear some movement behind you. I guess you would know that they're coming because of the telepathic piece,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
you start to hear some movement behind you and look up to see, Aurora's feet up her skirt in the dress.
So I was just gonna try best not to look, but like I see you. You're very you're here. I try to just like reach up for her legs to be like, I got you type thing.
I'm
You-
like kicking legs akimbo, just every direction, trying to like find purchase.
You are able to shimmy and drop the 5 foot distance to find purchase. Elle, as you kind of wiggle your way out as well and take a deep breath, you are both, all 3 of you at this point, Basil, as you've been waiting here as well and feeling the heat, all 3 of you are very sweaty, both from the climb and the exertion, as well as Basil from waiting in this area.
Oh no, it's in tatters. It's in tatters. Oh no.
Elle's gonna unwrap like one of the scarves from the Borealis and like give it to Aurora, like, and just kind of like run around in circles around her.
So you are still on hands and knees.
Oh,
You can stand up if one of you wants to stand up in the tunnel you just came from, but otherwise it is
Yeah,
still
just-
very much a hands and knees
I'll help myself like help out just to like make this work. And it's like when you get older, you get all these curves and they just get in the way sometimes. So it's okay. It's normal.
These curves
sounds
get in the way.
horrible.
You learn to love it.
Right. Unless there's anything else that the 3 of you want to do at this point. Apoc and Mrs. Q, you are the last 2 at the top. As I'm sure the Astra is there as well. Sorry, Astra is there as well. That's my mistake. As you've all been kind of mentally connected, hearing this as you've gone, as they've gone, the 3 of you at the top. What would you like to do?
Apoc, would you like to take the spatula and go first, or do you have? How's your dark vision?
It's pretty good. You know, used to kind of hiding in dark places, and if you can't see well, you should take the spatula.
Okay. Did you want to go first or next? What?
Second.
If you want, I can go first. I was thinking about going head first, so
Oh, right.
like army crawl down. You know, make sure that if like we do run into anything, I can see.
Okay. Maybe you should go first then, in case you get stuck, and then I can try and pull you out.
How you just pull me back?
Yeah.
Isn't that counterintuitive?
Not if you're stuck.
It just pushed me through.
Okay, that too.
If I get really stuck, then I could always just like turn into gas.
Indeed.
All right, let's do this.
Okay. Are you going down like as a group with the three of you? Astra will follow at the end.
That works.
So Apoc first, going head first. Mrs. Q, are you going feet first or head first?
Definitely feet first.
You're actually gonna roll
Um,
to the wall.
Astra will follow feet first. So I need acrobatics. Acrobatics checks from everyone, please.
Could it be athletics if I'm going like army crawl, just pulling myself?
This is more about your maneuverability
All right.
in
All
here,
right.
unfortunately.
All right. That's not bad.
Okay. Okay. Apoc,
17.
Mrs. Q.
15.
All right, as both of you start to move for the first 20, 40 feet, excuse me, you make it to the point where you are on your back. So Apoc, you are actually
On your belly.
on your belly in this case. Yeah, I have to do that.
It's
So
like, whoa,
Apoc is
whoa,
on
whoa.
his belly. Yeah. Apoc, you're on your belly, and as you are moving on your belly, army crawling, you feel your arrows in your quiver kind of catch on a few rocks on the ceiling here and there as you need to kind of like move yourself up and down to make it through in this very, very tight place. You're kind of scraping your elbows up to the side. Mrs. Q, on your back, you're able to shimmy enough. It's really difficult, and being an elderly lady with the curves that are apparently so difficult to handle, according to Aurora, as you age, you kind of feel your hips like hit up against the sides once and twice, and you kind of know you're going to get a bruise there in the morning. Astra, being quite tall, gets a little stuck as she tries to make the transition from straight up and down to this area on her back. As she tries to kind of like turn to be able to go backwards on her belly and kind of gets a little stuck. As she is going to try and like push her way through and is going to take some damage. As you hear in your heads, the two of you close by, just a shoot. Shoot. Okay. All right. I'm a little bit stuck. Please don't leave me behind. Yeah, Mrs. Q, you'd be able to kind of like just sort of like look back and contort a little bit as you see Astra kind of like flail a little bit and try and force her way through.
Astra, would you like me to give you a little tug?
Yeah, I think about it, get some butter. Strap like butter around the south pole. It's my health. Yeah.
As you see her kind of almost get ready to try and like pull herself, her feet kind of kicking to try and like help her. She goes, actually, yes, grab my right foot. And as you grab and reach, and she kind of like pushes herself down, successfully able to unstick herself and kind of tuck her arms in, avoiding to take any more damage. As she and you are on your back, wiggling your way back down. One more acrobatics check for this next stage.
For the record, I was referring to like the awkwardness as you go through puberty and how curves develop over puberty, not over like longer term. Just for the record.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dirty 20.
Mrs. Q.
17.
Very nice.
Right. As you get to the part, Apoc, where you are now on your back. Yes. You are now on your back, feet first, going through. On your back, head first, going through. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. You're now on your back, head first, going through like snout. Just you get a tusk every so often, kind of catching the top. And you have this thought, hey, this would make a cool boar log. As
Was in a hole. Smelled like lavender.
What? Oh. As Mrs. Q, you are on your stomach feet first this time. Astra the same way. Once more at that transition point, Astra's height is a barrier in this case, and she gets stuck. Once more, taking a little bit more damage. Better. As you hear just a little like, oh, again, Mrs. Q, left foot this time. All right. As this time, as you tug, there's a lot more resistance as Astra's kind of cloak gets a little bit caught. And as she pulls once more, you hear just an ouch as she takes a bit more damage as she scrapes against the side to unstick. It's taken you a little bit longer. Apoc, you hear this behind you as you pause, moving forward, head first on your back, not really being able to see where you're going. But as you kind of look and your tusk scrapes a little bit more, creating like almost a grating sound,
Ugh.
your vision flashes. And you see a large arm reaching out long in front of you with very, very long fingers, the green veins back in the hells. You hate the hells. As your hand pushes against a door, a large black door at the tower you've seen before, and it opens in front of you, this like long, tall, vaulted hallway of black stone. As your footsteps echo in front of you, you turn to look over your shoulder. You catch a wisp of this long, emerald green hair that kind of like floats almost behind you. As over your shoulder, you see carnage in your wake, guards laying slain. And you feel the slow, slow beat of your heart. One beat. One beat. As you turn back to the long hallway and you fixate on where you need to go. Forward, down, to the dungeons, the cell at the end. She will be there. As your vision flashes back and you see the mark your tusk made lying on your back in the tunnel itself, as you just hear Astra and Mrs. Q unsticking Astra in the split second.
Did you guys see that? The fuck was that?
I hope you're not looking up, because that's not very nice.
No, not unless you have a big black door in there.
Oh, Sean.
Honestly. Then what's the matter?
Let's get out of here.
So continuing to move as Basil, Elle, and Aurora, you hear them coming both like telepathically and as you start to see the light from Mrs. Q as Apoc kind of tumbles down face first, landing
Perfectly.
perfectly. Right, perfect landing. Oh, that feat. Oh my God.
Love it.
Oh my gosh. Tuck and roll and then barrel roll off to the side and just keep a lookout as Mrs. Q and Astra land and kind of move off on hands and knees into this small space. As you all take a breath, the heat and in your muscles, the fatigue, you know that you had a long rest and felt refreshed when you woke up, but it almost clings to you now, kind of like the smell in the dome last night. I do need a Constitution saving throw from everybody as the heat just weighs on your bones. Aurora,
9.
Elle,
18.
Basil,
Oh, jeez, that's a 7.
Mrs. Q,
3.
Apoc.
9.
I think Elle is the only one that passed. Astra. Elle is the only one that passes. Nope, Astra does too, thanks to a very high constitution. As the two druids kind of manage to shake off the heat a little bit, everyone else takes a level of exhaustion.
Okay.
As you feel the weight in your bones, even in your lace silk dress. No, it's not silk. Your lace stone, made out of stone dress, Aurora.
It's a sapphire dress with a lace trim. I've used my mending while I was waiting for Apoc and Mrs. Q, but I have I've redesigned the dress a little bit to have a nice slit along the leg, kind of where the tear is. I've worked it into the piece.
Gotcha. Okay, so we have a nice high slit.
Yeah,
Perfect.
pits and slits.
It still feels like
Give it
it's
the episode.
singing your body. But you all find yourself in this crawl space almost. Basil is the only one who can stand up, although like your ears and the feather of your helm is kind of scraping against the ceiling. You see what Basil described before you, kind of a long stretch before there appears to be some form of light, flickering light at the end, this like whitish kind of glow. What do you do?
I assume we approach the light to see what the source is.
Okay.
Let's go. No time like the present.
Okay. You all go ahead and start to crawl forward. It's a little bit slow going as you are crawling like hands and knees or army crawling on hard rock underneath you, and it's still that kind of gravelly, so it like sticks into your skin, like when you were a kid and you fell on gravel and it just stuck into your skin kind of situation. As you crawl your way forward and start to approach this light, I think the vultures are gone.
Oh, they
at this
are.
point.
They are. I'm just looking.
The kind of the same way that this whole thing narrowed in on you. As you crawl, you notice that it starts to open up a little bit and then a little bit, until you're no longer having to worry about bumping your head or your back if you take too big of a step forward. And as you move about 30-40 feet on hands and knees, which is a significant distance on hands and knees, you start to notice that the rock underneath you almost has a gentle glow to it. As that white light that you kind of noticed, you see it almost like veins moving through this rock, like veins of marble or veins of granite. And in this otherwise black rock, these white veins give off like a gentle, luminescent glow. So you can kind of see the surroundings a little bit better than you did before. And you notice that the ceiling starts to vault once more until a point where all of you, including Astra, can kind of stand up and stretch a little bit, all of your sore muscles from moving down that very, very narrow tunnel. It is kind of narrow on the sides. You can maybe go 3 people across before you hit either side, but you can comfortably walk as these like, it's not glowing in the sense of a glowing flashlight, but it's almost like reflecting light. It looks like what moonlight would look like if it reflects off of a white rock. Although there doesn't appear to be any kind of light source as these veins kind of move in waves throughout this rock as you move forward. This continues on as you trudge with your equipment. Your little cloud butterfly fairy has chosen to take up residence just on the top of your head at this point. Moving forward, you you continue going for another 5 minutes, another 10 minutes. The echoes of your footsteps off of the walls are the only things you really hear keeping a lookout. I do want everyone to go ahead and make a perception check. Oh no. Oh yeah, those who have a
Point of exhaustion.
point of exhaustion, you are at disadvantage.
8.
Elle?
For Basil.
14.
Basil, sorry, what was that?
11.
Mrs. Q?
Also 14.
Okay. So the 14s, I think that was the highest because you got a 1.
6.
6, sorry. So the 14s, as you are traveling, it's hard to tell due to the darkness of this tunnel and the brightness of this white. It's very stark contrast. But it has slowly been kind of meandering. Gently to the left, gently to the right. And Mrs. Q and Elle, you notice this, and it's very, very subtle and gentle. And the veins on the wall moving with you, you get a general sense that it's like a river. It feels like a river that's kind of meandering through a forest or a creek. You have no idea how far underground you are or where you are, with the exception of the heat just weighing in on you. But this feels almost comforting. You don't hear anything except for your own footsteps. And like before, you notice that there is truly nothing else down here. After a good 15 minutes, 20 minutes of walking, the side on your left starts to kind of open up. So what you've been following, a more narrow hallway, just starts to open into this large kind of cavernous space. And with both the lights and your lights on the spatula and candles and the glow of these veins, you notice in this chamber that these veins kind of like move and start to coalesce kind of around the center. So there's a lot more light in this room than before, these glowing veins of granite or marble stone. And as you kind of poke your head in, you see these like tall like slices of what look like threads of fire that are just kind of like floating in space from the side. Looks to be like anchored in the ground and extending upwards about 10 feet, kind of around where these like veins of granite sort of coalesce. It looks like there's 3, maybe 4, and they just kind of look like flickering, tall, skinny flames that are just sort of floating in the middle of this room, this cavern. You see the walls on each side are kind of like rough hewn. You do see those veins continuing, these like glowing veins in the marble continuing, but it kind of like starts and stops and juts out with the like natural carving of this cavern. It's not as smooth as the cave that you were just in, that you had to like shimmy. But it does feel almost like a little bit of electricity in the air. As you see these sort of dancing flames in the middle of the room. Keeping an eye on time, I think we'll go ahead and end there for tonight. We have a little bit of time to think about